Hi, this is Ken. Welcome back to our shared community, and hope that you'll have a little bit of fun doing this. I certainly did. It's been challenging, but I'm going to try and go through it fairly quickly. So most of what I'm going to show is going to be very, very familiar to most people, particularly those who use stencils. So let me start by saying this is my first one. And there probably will be some glare because you've got white surfaces. This is one that I use absolutely nothing to hold down the stencil. And you can see there are a lot of mistakes. And so I said, okay, let me go back to the time when I used to use hairspray as a temporary adhesive and see how that does. So that led to the second iteration, which is this one, which is quite a bit better. Still needs some work, but that's okay. That's what this is all about. You make a few mistakes, and then you go back and correct them. So I'll do one in front of you so that you'll get an idea exactly how it works, and you'll be able to make some modifications, hopefully, post them in the comments. This website is absolutely free, as it's not sponsored by anybody. It's totally open source. You can take anything on my website, any of the 5 pages, but this one will appear under Science and Technology and Experiments. But as long as you attribute it to observationsblog.com, that's all I ask. And I think that that's fair. So here, let's go through this. But before I do that, let me just show you another quick one. Now this one I did with a standard 1-inch foam brush. And although it's not recommended to water down the ink, a little bit might be helpful. But I overcoated this with a clear spray lacquer, and I think it came out pretty good. Actually, a little bit of work on that one. I think I can. So I did this basically by masking off, and to then just using the brush. So that's another possible application. So here we go. The most important part of this whole thing is in the fabric ink. Now I have been using Speedball fabric screen printing ink. The reason for that is that it is a heat set. It requires heat in order to set it to a permanent standard. And once it is heat set, it is permanent. I've been doing this for 5 years with silkscreen, and so this project with the stencils is absolutely a new one. So I'm learning along with you, and hopefully together we'll be able to come up with some modifications that are going to really be helpful. So, but that's the key. You can Google fabric screen printing ink. Look under Speedball. Just put in Speedball fabric inks, and you should get back screen printing kits, and but you'll find that there's quite a few available in a lot of different colors. Now I chose this fluorescent one because it shows mistakes real easily, much more easily than the solid colors. And I wanted to, if there are going to be mistakes, I would rather have it occur right in front of you. so that we can work on that. So basically, the process is really straightforward. It's just your imagination that's going to make it better. So I just opened this one. I haven't used this before, so we'll see how it certainly is colorful. Can't deny that one. So here we go with the process. Pretty simple. Both the tile, and this is a reclaimed tile, by the way. I use these for a lot of different things, and then I clean them up and reuse them. I have a piece of painter's tape on here already, and you'll see why. And it's obviously not going to fit because it's way too long. And I would mask off, you know, and everybody knows how to do that. This is not a process. This is not a problem. So on the reverse side is where you want to put the hairspray. I came across this idea 5 years ago or more, and I happen to still have the can of Aquanet, and it still works. So as long as it works, I'm going to use it. So basically, on the back side, in the reverse, you want to spray it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, it smells. Not what I like. Then you return it to its proper place, and then you place the stencil where you want it. Press down lightly. Now I'm wearing gloves not because it's toxic, because this is water soluble, non-toxic, but I don't want to contaminate the surfaces. I had already pre-washed the tile and the reverse side of the stencil with isopropyl alcohol to clean off any of the excess grease. So now that's pretty well adhered. And the great thing about that is that once you get done heat setting, and I'll explain that as we go along here, it's going to be not even necessary to remove it. But if you do after it's heat set, you can use water without any problem at all. So here's the reason for the painter's tape. It gives you a place to put the ink. And it doesn't take much to go quite a ways. So let's just put some on here. I'll probably be putting way too much on there. We'll see. I like to make mistakes in front of everybody. It may not actually be enough, I'm not sure. You'll figure it out. And you'll post it in the comments. One thing about my readers and viewers, they're sharp. And that is what I enjoy most, is the ideas and the creativity that all of my readers come up with. The gloves also help a little bit when you don't have to worry about making a mess on your hands. It's a little easier to remove the gloves than it is to wash up. So now you just use a regular window wash and squeegee. And you just come down. And you come back again. Okay, I didn't put enough. So let's do it. This is all a learning curve. And we like learning curves. You want more? We'll put a little more on there. Not a problem. Now this is not normally dilutable with water, because it does dilute the color, obviously. Let's see what happens. I'm going to leave it open now, just in case. So let's try this. Get a little more ink down here. Ah, that's a little better. You now go in the other direction. You can see your stencil filling in. There we go. And you can see where it isn't filling in. Just fill it in. And it's obviously not going to fit, there's no question. And it's the wrong size. Now I can see places where there's a little bit of, it's a little thin. But the stencil part of it is looking pretty good. So let's try and take this off and see what happens. And now obviously this will wash off with water with no problem at all. Just don't let it go for too long, because it will eventually dry, which is the next step to tell you about. All right. And there you are. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'd be happy with that. Of course, it's monotone, but that's okay. Now, when if you get areas obviously that you want to move, that you want to get rid of, just a little bit of water and a paper towel, and it just comes right back up. It comes right up with no problem. In fact, the whole thing will come up. Absolutely. I'll wash this when I get done. Now, here comes the really important part to remember. This will now dry. As you can see, it's quite wet. Now I normally would allow at least overnight. Not at least, but overnight is preferred. However, if you want to hurry it up a little bit, give it an hour, let it on its own, and then you can use a hair dryer. But you cannot reheat it to reset the ink with a hairdryer. It's not hot enough. So you really need a household iron or a heat gun that can generate enough heat. Before I go too much further here, I see a little bit of ink trying to get at the side here. So that'll do that. Now, this will dry quite nicely, and when it is dry, it's ready for the heat set. Now this is the important part. When I use parchment paper, I put a piece of parchment paper over the top of it, and but you can use paper towels or almost anything that you really want to. And this is complete after it's completely dry. I turned off the camera for a very good reason. I wanted to show you how to do the heat set, and I originally was going to kind of just describe it, but I thought, nah, I really should show you because it's a very important piece to remember, and to see how I did it, and you may make improvements, but as I had mentioned, I use parchment paper. Now this is 24 hours later, and this is now completely dry and ready for heat set. So I put the parchment paper, which is good to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and the iron is set on high cotton, no steam. It's completely dry. And that runs at about 275 or something like that. And you don't iron the way you would normally iron. So I'll show you how I do it. Once I have the parchment paper in place, I put my little cheap iron that I got at the thrift store over part of it at a time, and I just let it sit there, and I let it sit there for about a minute or so, because I want to heat that ink up to the point where it melts and becomes a permanent part of the tile, and that's the idea behind the permanence. So where you would normally iron back and forth, on this one you don't want to. You want to just move it around a little bit and move down a little bit as you go. Leave it on there for a minute or so. And in fact, if you can do it for a couple of minutes, that's even better. You really can't overdo it, but you really want to, at the end of this process, the tile should be quite warm to the touch, because you really want this to work out well. And so then I'll move down a little bit further, and I'll keep that process up for probably 4 or 5 minutes to make sure that this is going to be. Now you can move it around. I mean, there's no magic about that, but and I said you can use paper towels or something else, but you don't want anything wet. So you just keep doing it until you have a nice nice permanent heat seat, and it's gonna seal it beautifully. So it's more of a matter of allowing that heat to penetrate the ink and solidify it. And you can use a heat gun that you would use if you were embossing or something like that. That works as well. Of course, you wouldn't use any parchment paper in that case. You do it directly, but just not too close. But you really want to heat it up, and the iron is really the iron really works well. So you just do that throughout the whole image that you're working on, and when you get done, it will be perfect. It will be completely set. And that is now. See, that's good. You can feel it. The whole tile is warm. So one thing I did mention in the write-up at the end is that you'll notice on most of my videos that I do have some shakiness. But let me tell you, don't worry about it. It's a matter, I'm not a professional videographer, and I don't do it often enough to feel, particularly comfortable. So sometimes it's a little bit stressful, but there's absolutely nothing wrong. But of course, the coffee doesn't help either. Sometimes that works against me. But every now and then, you'll see my hand shake a little bit. But it's sometimes these videos are a little bit stressful to make, because I'm trying to keep so much in my head at one time, and my muscles just don't react the same way every time. And plus, in this case, the tiles are fairly heavy. But when you get done, this is good. This is going to be beautiful. So now I'll strip this in Clorox bleach, because I'll reclaim this, I would imagine. But anyway, I just wanted you to realize that there's absolutely nothing wrong. And sometimes things go wrong, and there are, it's noticeable, and I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that there's absolutely no problem. It's just part of a little bit of anxiety on my part when I make these videos. But hey, I just try and impart the information. One thing I did want to mention is that every ceramic tile is a little bit different. The glazes are different, the firing temperatures were different. So before you pour your heart into a project, make a small sample and make sure that you feel comfortable with the tile that you're using. Make sure that it's clean with isopropyl alcohol, and that the back of the stencil is also clean. And I think you'll be very successful. And as far as any difficulties, problems are problems. I don't worry about it. So that's where we are on this. Now we have a permanent stencil in a fluorescent color. So that works for me. We try not to make too many problems, but sometimes that happens. So if you have any comments, go ahead and make them. If you happen to be on YouTube, seeing it's the same video, but do go to the website, observationsblog.com, and read the write-up, because there's some information there, and there's also a challenge. So it's, like I say, it's open source, free, and it's a lot of fun. So give it a whirl. Any questions? The comments are always, I will add information as we go along. But if you have creative ideas, like I still like to know, I haven't tried it on glass yet, and I haven't tried using rubber stamps, or there's a number of things that we could go and try. And I know my readers and my viewers, and they are clever, and we're going to have some fun with this. So this is my first project in a while, because I've had a lot of failures, but that's half the fun of doing it. So, hey, until next time, this is Ken. Have a great day and a great night. Take care.